I got sued in my wholesaling real estate business. Hey, what's up, guys? Thanks for joining me today. My name is Graylan Stewart. If you're new to my channel, thank you. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Like the video if you end up getting value from it. That's all I ask. So today's video is about how I got sued in my wholesaling real estate business. So as you know, we do wholesaling real estate nationwide. We do it all day, every day. So obviously there's always risk in any type of business that you get into, okay? So wholesaling real estate is not an accepted practice. You know, it's there too. So this industry can be super rewarding if you follow the steps that I teach on this channel and actually do the business all day, every day. You'll be highly successful. So yes, there is risk in it. So when you actually actively cold call people or send RVMs or send SMS to different sellers, motivated sellers out there, you're going to come across some people that don't like that. Actually, you're going to come across a lot of people that don't like that, right? So there has been some different guidelines set recently over, texting specifically, but also, the hammer's kind of been coming down on the RVM type things as well. RVM is basically, it's ringless voicemail, to where you make phone calls to sellers, but you bypass their actual dial, so they don't ever even know the call is coming, and you go directly to their voicemail. So it's ringless voicemail, and I'm sure you've gotten those yourself, and you just didn't know what they were called, to where you'll all of a sudden have, a voice message on your phone. You never even heard your phone ring. So that's an RVM, okay? So we do those a lot in my business, and we also send cold mass text messages, which this day and age you have to be a lot more careful with it, okay? So there are different ways that you can get around some of these things, but they are more difficult, okay? They're making it harder and harder to actually do business in those methods. And cold calling has always kind of been frowned upon. Obviously, there's a do not call list out there that people can actually register for, to make sure that their name or phone number isn't associated with those. And you can get in big trouble if you actually call that do not call list. And it's kind of the same thing with SMS, which is texting, and also RVMs. They kind of all fall around the same ballpark. And, you can get in trouble per infraction. For example, if you send an RVM to someone and then you try again over a period of time, whatever that time limit is, you may have sent them an RVM today, but you also sent them one maybe 4 or 5 months ago. So both of those apply. If you actually end up getting in trouble, you have to pay for those two infractions, okay? And it's different depending on what you're doing and, the legalities of it. I'm not even sure, but we did in fact get sued. And it's technically, we got sued for cold calling, but in fact, they were RVMs, okay? So let me kind of walk you through what happened. And now it was a while ago. I just don't talk about it a lot, but that's the beauty of my channel. If you follow me at all, I tell you the good, the bad, and the ugly of wholesale real estate. So yes, you can make tons of money, but there's obviously risk as well. So I like to tell you everything about it, okay? So this was, I believe, late 2019, maybe early 2020. I don't remember exactly. So at the time of this video, this is March of 2022. So it was a while ago, a year and a half or so, maybe 2 years, somewhere in that ballpark. But so technically, we got in trouble for cold calling the customer. But in fact, we sent an RVM. So a ringless voicemail was sent to this particular seller for a property that they owned, okay? Now this seller actually lived in California, so he was an absentee owner, if you want to call it that. So he owned a property in a particular area that we were marketing to, and he actually lived in California. So that qualifies as an absentee owner because he owned the property that he did not live in, okay? But he's also an out-of-state owner, so that would kind of come up on two different lists. So we reached out to this particular list. He happened to be on the list. Obviously now he is deleted from any system that we have, his phone numbers, name, everything associated with him, just so this doesn't happen again. So what happened was we sent them an RVM. It was sent by one of my acquisition managers. Actually, we send RVMs kind of at a mass, right? And we have different voices for our RVMs with different messages that just kind of drop to different lists, okay, at all times. So, the message might have been something like, "Hey, this is Ashley, and we're interested in buying your property. We have several in the area. Thought you might be interested in selling." Something along those lines, right? So, obviously, the seller did or didn't reply, but we sent this. There was 5 different communications with this particular lawsuit, okay? But he actually catfished us or enticed us to play his game, if you will, okay? So we sent the RVM, didn't reply. I think another one was sent, and he called back. So when we send our RVMs, they're also set up with IVRs, which is I don't even know what that stands for, internal voice recording or something like that. But nevertheless, when the RVM is sent, they can reply to that by pressing 1 or 2, okay? Or they can just straight call back a phone call that they miss, right? If you see a missed call on your phone, a lot of times you'll just call that back, say, "Hey, I missed a call from this number." Or if you actually listen to the voicemail, it's got 2 options to press 1 or 2. Press 1 to be connected with one of our acquisition managers. Press 2 to be, to be removed from our list, okay? Do not call list, basically. So this particular seller actually pressed 1. So he got connected with one of our acquisition managers, which happened to be Ashley. She's the one that left a message, so she's the one that got the call when it came back through. And so he went through our whole process of listening to her, let her go through the script, getting all the information about the property, etc., right? And then it came to, okay, he's interested. He throws a number out, "Hey, I could sell it for this price," because we always try to get the number from the seller. So went through the whole spiel, and at the end of the day, we agreed on a certain price for this particular property. He was indeed the owner. He agreed to sell the house for us at a certain price. So the next step for us is sending the agreement, okay? So we get him on the phone and send the agreement to him, and then Ashley goes through that whole thing as far as getting that signed. So once he got the agreement, he actually saw what the company name was, and then he straight ghosted us after that, okay? He just basically ended the call abruptly, and we didn't hear from him, for a day or two. So then, after a couple of days, he informed us that said, "Hey, I know who you are. You solicited me. I'm on the national do not call list," threatening to sue us, and said basically, "Hey, you're going to pay me. I want $15,000 for me not to sue you, and I want to sue your company personally. I want to sue the owner of the company, which is me, and I also want to sue Ashley, the acquisition manager that made the calls." Okay, so he wanted $15,000 from each one of those 3 people or places, right? From me, Ashley, and my company. So he wanted basically 45 grand to just go away. Okay, pay him and go away. So long story short, obviously we're not going to pay 45 grand for that. So we're like, okay, well, let's just see where it goes. So he did in fact file a lawsuit. They served me with papers at my home, and so I got an attorney. Okay, there's a couple of attorneys that I've worked with in the past, so this one took the case for me. Actually, I think they referred me to someone else, and then that attorney that I ended up using kind of got boots on the ground in California to kind of be eyes and ears for that area as well. So anyways, I ended up going through that process. It took 2 or 3 months to kind of get it all finalized, and we ended up just settling for each infraction. I think the minimum that you have to pay is $500 per infraction, and there's 5 of them, so $2,500. So we wanted to pay him a little bit more than the minimum, which was $1. So we paid $2,500 or $1, but also I ended up paying the attorneys like $7,500. So at the end of the day, it cost me about 10 grand to go through that whole process. But we wanted to go to litigation, to trial, because we were going to fight it, because really we didn't actually cold call. We left a voicemail, and he kind of played along the game to make it even go as far as it did, and when he was never even interested at all. So really, we were hoping it went to trial, but obviously he probably knew the game, that he would probably lose. So we just ended up settling for $2,501. So lesson learned. Really, we didn't do anything technically wrong, even though he was on the do not call list. So we paid him, but we did find out later that this guy is an actual serial litigator. We found out that over an 18-month period, he made about $1 million just suing people. And we also found out that he's an actual real estate agent in California. So, obviously he doesn't make money as a realtor, so he'd rather sue people. So, the moral of the story is it didn't bother me. It didn't change our business practices. The only thing I did different was making sure that I scrubbed against the known litigators list. I never scrub against the do not call list because then you wouldn't have anybody to call, all right? But I do now scrub against the known litigators list. So it's people that they know just sue people for just those reasons, calling or texting and things like that. So we do that now, but also at the end of the day, it really didn't make me stop doing what we do because, in my opinion, it's just the cost of doing business. So, we make hundreds of thousands of dollars every year from cold calling, and another $10,000, as part of the marketing for that. It's just the cost of doing business for me. And it hasn't happened since. It only happened one time. This guy has been obviously blacklisted from every list that we have. His phone number and name, anything associated, won't even come into our system. So that's kind of how we did that. But that's my story on my lawsuit, guys. Let me know your thoughts, and have you ever been sued, or are you afraid of that? That's the thing. You got to have thick skin in this business. Things are going to happen, but I made probably over $1 million before I ever even got sued. And like I said, cold calling alone brings us several $100,000. So it didn't really bother me at the end of the day. It was a pain in the butt to kind of go through that process, but it still didn't change what we do. We still cold call all day, every day. Still do RVM, still do text messages, and I always will. So it is what it is. So anyways, let me know your thoughts. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, like, share if you would. I'd appreciate that. And I'll see you guys in the next one.